Welcome to Two Souls Podcast, a podcast to shift, impact, empower, and disrupt your consciousness, ultimately allowing you to thrive in this human experience. Now here are your hosts, Amber Megenhauser and Angela Blaha. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. Angela here. Amber, how are you today?
Fantastic. How about you?
Great. What do we get to explore today?
Today I thought we would talk about seeing and feeling our own energy and how it changes and what it tells us.
That's a great topic. So I assume you've had an experience recently with this.
I have. So I went to a meeting the other day, and that's why this is coming up. But I went to a meeting the other day, and after I left there, I couldn't believe how heavy I felt. And I didn't notice it right at first. It took a little while, and I was on my way home and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that meeting was just so heavy. I could not even believe how heavy it made me feel." And so it just kind of made me wonder, you go from having an excited energy to a heavy energy, and I completely noticed it. So how do people? I'm very aware of my energy, so it stood out to me right away. And how do people know, and how can they understand and see when their energy shifts from the people they're around? Just you go from super excited one minute to super heavy the next minute. How can people see that within themselves?
Yeah, this happens frequently, right? Like we can, especially people who are in tune with their own energy, frequencies, and vibrations. And then you get around other people who don't have a clue about their vibration and they're just projecting their energy out to the world, that's when we can sense it. That's when we feel it. So what I do when I scan the energies in a room. Like if I'm walking into a place and I really want to be we're pretty conscious people, and so if there's energy that's going to um, affect me in some way, somehow, then I want to know about it first, right? So that I can change my energy so that I don't carry that or, attach to it or, if somebody's projecting their energy out and they're just doing it unconsciously, then, I want to be able to sort of regulate it so that I don't have to experience it. Um, so what I do is I use my shamanic abilities and I look into the room before I even go into the room. So in shamanism, we're taught to sort of take our energy, go above or beyond, or sit in the space of the room without actually physically being in the room. We use our energy, our vibrations, or our frequencies to actually sort of scan things. And that's what I do. And I can see, so because I can see the vibrations, I can see the frequencies, if people are really projecting energy out, I can see that. So just work on your ability to see energies, frequencies, vibrations. That's the key to the world. It's the key to the universe, as Nikola Tesla always says. So, but when we can't see, we can still feel it, right? Like there's just a sense when you walk into a room, you get that weird sense, that weird vibration that something's, not quite right here. Or this energy doesn't quite fit with who
Yeah.
I am. I'm coming in all excited and I'm coming in, super balanced and happy. And then you hit that wall of energy, you can instantaneously feel it. I'm sure that happened to you, right?
It did. And I guess in the beginning, I didn't feel it right away when I walked in because I was focused on other things. But when I left, I was like, whoa, I just haven't felt like that heavy for a long time. So I just felt like I had like the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why did I
Yeah.
take all that on? So is that kind of what happened where I in a way just like took on that energy myself and why I felt so heavy?
Yeah. Yeah, so when it changes your energy, that should be a sign or a symbol to you that says, "Oh, wait, I'm taking on something that's not mine." Right? If it changes, so if you're going in feeling amazing and you sit there for a little bit, see, had you done your shamanic duty, scan the room, you would have saw it in the first place. But because you had something else on your mind, right? And you were going in, what you need to do is get your energy so big that no one else's energy can exist in the room. That's
Okay.
the law of attraction. That's how well, you know, that's how things work. Like if you get your vibration and frequency so strong and so big and so energized, no one else's energy can compete with it. And you end up not taking on like the heavy dense energy that somebody else is projecting out into the room.
And I've practiced that for a long time because I used to be a person that took on a lot of people's energy. And so I'm usually very aware of it. So the fact that this happened was like mind blowing to me. And I didn't even recognize it until probably 20 minutes after I left. And then it's like, holy crap,
Yeah.
that that
You know,
energy's
I
heavy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then
for sure.
go ahead.
Well, when I used to, well, I still do sort of coach people when they're going into for job interviews and that kind of thing. And I teach them, get your energy so big that they cannot forget you. If you want this job, you really want this job, make sure that your energy is so ginormous that they remember you and remember you and remember you. You cannot leave their consciousness. You cannot leave their memory. And so that's what that's a common thing that I do is I make my energy so big and so strong and so like energized that people remember me. It's really easy.
So can you give an example on how somebody can expand their energy like that before going into say something important like a job interview?
Well, it's just a practice, right? So what I do is I teach people to pull their energy into their core, right? Into your heart space or your spine or wherever it is that you feel like your core is. And like get it solid. Like connect with your energy field and connect with who you are and connect with your purpose and what the desire is, right? Like if you're going in for a job interview and you really, really want this job, not because of the money, not because of, that you're desperate, don't connect into that kind of energy. You really want to connect into how can I make a difference in this position? How can this fulfill me and fulfill, your employer? So you really want to get solid into that desire, that energy, that, and you really want to bring it home, like so to speak. And then from there, what you want to do is you want to just expand your energy, and you practice this before you go in. You expand your energy so that you can feel your energy in your physical body. And then you expand it out further, expand it into the room that you're sitting in, and then expand it into your entire house or your entire, wherever it is that you're practicing, and then expand it out into the world. And you do this so that you can consciously feel it expanding, and you practice it every single day. And then you practice it like before your interview, before your job interview, or before you go to, you really want to impress people. Maybe it's a speaking engagement. You practice filling the space wherever your job interview is going to be, or wherever your speaking engagement is going to be. You practice just filling that space so that it's really, really comfortable when you walk in, and everybody already kind of gets a sense of your energy because you've been filling up that space for, a week or 2 weeks, right? So then
Yep.
there's already a comfortability. Like there's no jarring of energies, right? Everybody's already meshed, not really meshed, coherence. There's a sense of coherence already that exists. And then you do your amazingness during the interview or during the speaking engagement. And then, people remember you because they're already comfortable with you. There's no like rubbing people the wrong way or taking on someone else's energy. There's none of that. There's this cohesiveness that's already formed, and it continues on. So when you leave that job interview or when you leave that speaking engagement, like you still are practicing that, right? You're still practicing bringing in your energy into your core, feeling safe, feeling that desire, connecting with the deepest part of you, and then still expanding it. So just because the job interview is
Okay.
over, just because that speaking engagement is over, doesn't mean that you stop with your energy, right? Like
Yeah.
you're consistently still, filling in the desire.
I do that actually every single day. I like expanding my energy. It feels pretty cool too.
Hmm. Yeah, it feels great. It feels
And
free.
yeah. And so when people start, it is just kind of like starting a little small, just, try to expand it to practicing at home. When I first did this, uh, we expanded it, we pulled it into ourselves, expanded it to our room, and then we just went bigger and bigger with it. Then it was as big as the whole house. Then it was as big as the city that I lived in. And we expanded it even bigger than that. And you can really feel the difference in yourself and feeling your own energy when you expand it and bring it back.
Yeah.
That's a great exercise.
Yeah. And you become very conscious of what your energy does, right? So, which is probably why you had this experience of, the heaviness and taking it on and um, taking it home with you. Maybe you didn't actually take it on. It doesn't look like you took it on in the interview or in the experience itself. It's more probably that you took it home with you, because you felt it afterwards.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't
Yeah.
conscious in the. Go ahead.
It was completely afterwards that I felt it. It was not while I was at this meeting. It was completely afterwards.
Hmm. Yeah. So when you walk out that door, you leave that energy there and you leave your energy there. See, that's part of like if you want people to remember you, you leave your energy there. You leave your frequency. You don't take anybody's home, including your own. You leave it there so that that the experience of you lasts and it continues. Now, there's a difference between
Okay.
when we consciously do this and when we unconsciously do this. All right. So people who are super unconscious and they just project their energy out, that's a form of domination and control. When you're very conscious about your energy and you purposefully leave it at a meeting or, at an interview or at a speaking engagement, then you're leaving it there for people to just experience. Like it's no domination or control because, you're not pushing it on to someone. You're just leaving it there for the continued experience. They can choose to pick it up or not pick it
Okay.
up. See the difference? Like there's a whole different purpose for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not trying to
I never
push
really
our
thought about that
energy.
before.
Yeah, it's a difference between like projecting your energy, you're trying to dominate and control someone because you're feeling crappy or you're feeling shitty or you're feeling, you're angry at the world or something. When you unconsciously just project that to the world, that's domination and control. Because it doesn't matter if it's conscious or unconscious, you're still projecting it. When it's a projection, then it's domination and control. But if you're purposefully leaving something, right, you're not projecting it out there. You're just saying, yeah, here's this beautiful energy, that this is beautiful frequency that we talked about, right? You can pick it up, you can leave it. It doesn't matter. It can just sit here in the corner for a little while until it dissipates. And then, people can still experience it or not. There's a choice. There's a huge difference between choice and no choice. So I think we've lost Amber. Oh, there she
Yeah.
is. Are you there, Amber? Nope. I think we've lost Amber. We've been having a few technical difficulties today. So I'll just continue on talking about energy. So when we experience someone else's projected energy, it's very, and we're like really distracted. Like Amber was very distracted in reading the room because she had a different agenda on her mind, right? But if we're truly multi-dimensional beings, we can do all of it. Like we can sense the room, we can see the projections, we can feel the vibrations, we can think about what we're going to experience here and what we're not going to experience. We can feel it. We can actually make a conscious decision. So when you're actually exploring the energy of a room and there's lots of different people in there, maybe some of them you've never ever met before, and so you don't really know how to understand their vibration or their frequency, then you can let your energy experience that. But if they're multidimensionality, means that we are conscious on multiple levels. So we can feel, we can hear, we can see, we can experience things. We can like feel the behaviors, we can feel the action steps, we can feel the thoughts, we can feel the emotions. And while we're doing all of that in our multidimensionality, we can actually make some decisions about what we're going to allow in to my own frequency, my own vibration, and what I'm not. Are you back, Amber?
Yep.
Awesome.
That so scanning the room for and just paying attention to all the other all the energies that are within the room
hmm
can help you understand theirs and your own.
Yeah, it helps you to understand if you're going to flow with their energy or if you're going to resist their energy, right? So, like, I have a real resistance with hierarchical kinds of mindsets. So, those people who believe in the hierarchy, who believe that, there's a high status and there's a low status. Like I can sense that before I even walk into a room. I can sense that from people. And so I have a real resistance to that kind of energy. So I have to adjust. I'm not going to ask their energy to adjust because it's a hierarchy. It's very static. When you have a hierarchical kind of energy field, it's very static. It doesn't change. Believe me, I tried to change it with my father. It didn't work. So what I figured out and understood was that I needed to change, right? So if I'm going into a situation where there's definitely hierarchical kind of energy, I know exactly how to change my energy so that I don't resist. That means I have to change my thoughts. I have to change my emotions. I have to change my actions. I have to change my behaviors. I even have to change the language that I speak because I if I don't, I can run the risk of making someone instantaneously angry just by the language that I use. Now,
Sure.
that's not me like conforming to someone else's standard or someone else's, way of being. That's not what that is. For me, that is me not resisting, because if I resist that energy, I will come out angry. I will come out hurt. I will come out with, old patterns regurgitating in my mind. This is me adjusting to energies so that I know how to flow with them. When you become really conscious about your energy and your frequency and everybody else's, like, there's no giving up of yourself any longer. It's, oh, how can I experience this energy in a more, in a delightful way versus a very angry way?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
do like
I definitely
that. Go ahead.
I can definitely understand that. And when you're aware of your energy and how certain people or certain situations,
Mm.
um, if you're not aware of it, you can definitely take on other people's stuff and like you said, resist certain energies because there's just you're in control of it and you don't resist it, you just kind of go with it and you're prepared before you get there instead of letting it upset you.
Well, that's the part of, you're the one that's in control, right? If someone, like that hierarchy kind of energy, if I know I'm going to resist that, I lose my control. I give up my control when I resist it, because I just gave it to them, because that's what hierarchy energy does, right? It demands that you give your energy to them so that they can, manipulate it and change it, do whatever they want with it, right? But if I know that I'm going to flow with that hierarchy energy, I'm still the one that's in control. They didn't take my energy. I didn't give up anything.
Yeah.
I consciously went in, made a decision that I'm going to flow with this kind of energy. I'm going to change my language so that there's no giving up of my energy. I walk out of there a million times probably better
And you
than they did.
so setting that intention before you go can actually make or break it.
Yeah. Well, that and knowing who you are. We've talked about this every single podcast that we've done, is knowing your own self, knowing your energy, knowing what kind of energies you do resist and what kind you really flow with. Like people who are like super
Yeah.
like cosmic in their field, like I just want to like get engulfed by that energy, right? Because I feel like they know or they can experience something that I can't. And so I sort of get lost in
Yeah.
that kind of energy when I'm around people like that, right? So again, I have to know myself. And when I get lost in an energy, again, I'm giving up my own self. I'm giving up my energy. So, it can go both ways. It can be
Yeah.
like the ones that you resist and the ones that sort of like consume you, that you're still giving up yourself. You're still giving up your energy to whatever energy they are holding. So the point
Yeah.
is, that we really need to be in control. And being in control means that you activate all of your multi dimensions of yourself. The ones that know when you're being consumed, the ones that know when you're being resisted, the ones that, know when you're in flow, the ones, knowing it all means that you're activating your multidimensionality and you are really making conscious decisions based on what your desire is, what it is that if you want to be consumed, then give up your power. If you want to be in a resistance, then give up your power, but be conscious about it, right? Make the decision. Oh, I'm going to give up my power right here because this is what I want to experience.
And practicing all of those actually helps you understand your own energy
Yeah.
too and whether you're giving it up or whether you're expanding it.
Yes, for sure. And
That
then
was a
making
great
decisions.
perspective.
We first practice and then we make decisions, because the whole experience of victimhood, or not being in control, being dominated and controlled, that's where trouble comes. That's where the atrocities to humanity come in. But when we're actually making conscious decisions and saying, I want to experience domination right now. I really want to have an experience of what that feels like in this moment with these people or with this, whatever's happening, whatever the experience is bringing, right? If you go in making a choice, you never end up hurt. You never take away someone else's, you never take away that heavy energy like you experience, right? You just go in for the experience, but you know
Yeah.
very well that there's going to be domination, that there's going to be resistance, right? That there's going to be this, that, or the other thing, and you're consciously doing it. Now, when you're doing, you're still the one that's holding the power. But if you don't make a decision and you're just being a victim, right? And you're totally unconscious about who you are, that's where the problems lie. That's where we are as a human race. And that's where we're like faltering. That's where we have, experiences like, I don't know, like horrible ones like war and violations and rape and murder, right? Because we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
That whole premise of who am I, that constant
That makes
question that comes up, you know, well, you have to know your energy,
Yep.
frequency, and vibration, and then you know exactly who you are because you're consciously making decisions every moment of every day.
Yeah. So that's that's actually what everything is about, knowing
Hmm.
exactly who you are,
Yeah. But you got to
what you
know,
take
you have to
on, what
understand
you
it in,
expand.
right, you have to understand it in energy, frequencies, and vibrations, though. That's the only way it works in this universe.
Yep.
If we're constantly asking ourselves, who
And
am
doing
I,
the
and all your, yeah, doing the practice and becoming the practice. It's not just doing it, it's becoming the
Yeah.
practice, right? Because then if you're actually becoming the practice, you're knowing your energy all the time. You're activating your multidimensionality all the time.
Yeah. And you're right, you can't just ask yourself every day, who am I? It's about knowing how you work, knowing how you feel, knowing
Mhm.
what your energy can and cannot handle.
Exactly. Exactly. And then making, conscious decisions, not unconscious ones. That's the part of who am I?
Yes.
The unconsciousness of us is that part of us that doesn't want to know, right? So it's what we consider to be the ego and the unconscious energy of who we are. Like it hides things from us, right? So the unconscious is the part of us that doesn't want to know. It doesn't want to be seen. It doesn't, it holds all the fears and all the icky stuff that we don't really want to experience. But once you bring it into consciousness, there's no fear there. Once you start to understand your own frequency, vibrations, and energy field, you can go anywhere, do anything, and you never have fear because you're conscious about how you're going to experience something.
Yeah. So a question I guess I have now is, I am very aware of my energy and what things do to me. How could I let this happen? And I wasn't even aware of it until after the fact.
Well, so you have to stop saying, I let this happen. And maybe you say, well, I went in with a whole different mindset. I went in with, into this meeting with this agenda on my mind. And I didn't give account to the energies that were there because, maybe you knew these people and you knew what to expect from before, from your previous experience with them. And, that happens all the time. But then somebody has a bad day and they bring that energy in, or, they picked up energy along the way, or they're totally unconscious about who they are. Right. And this just happened to be one of those meetings that where that denser kind of energy or that heavier kind of energy existed and you didn't expect it because your mindset was on this, and this, right? So,
That's
but maybe
exactly what it
now
is.
maybe moving forward, it's about, okay, I'm going to be more intentional with my multidimensionality every moment of every day. Um,
Yeah.
And yes, we can do this, right? Like, this is not a foreign concept that it takes so much energy to be multidimensional. No, that's a lie. It's a natural process. We just need to understand it and accept it and be that, and then it becomes effortless. So that you're constantly reading fields of energy. That's the whole thing anyway, right? Emotions are energy fields, thoughts
Yeah.
are energy fields. It's not like they're concrete. We can't physically see them, right? Our
Yeah.
behaviors are energy fields. They're just vibrations. I mean, yeah, we can physically do them probably, but they're still, it's still unconscious until you bring it into the consciousness. But if you're going to say to yourself every morning when you get out of bed, I'm going to be conscious as much as possible today, and I'm really going to start reading energy fields. I'm going to make myself big when I need to. I'm going to pull my energy in when I need to. I'm going to change my language, my voice, so that I don't have to be in a resistance pattern today because I don't want to be there today. Now can you feel the power of that? Can you feel how powerful it is when you're the one who's making the decisions about your energy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Just you even saying it, I'm like, okay, I understand that now. And I didn't do that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So even when we have these kinds of experiences and then we go home, and we're like, oh my gosh, that was so heavy. And geez, I don't know if I left an impact or not. You can still do it today, right? If your point was to leave an impact, you can still, practice that today. Go back into that experience, get your energy big, even if the meeting comes out the way you wanted it to, or if it doesn't come out the way you wanted it to, you're still the one in charge. You see, you're still the one in charge of your energy. I'm not talking about being in charge of their energy. I'm talking about you being in charge of your energy. Because when you're in charge of your energy, you feel powerful. You feel good about who you are. You like want to repeat this experience and then do it a different way. So yeah, that's the whole
Yeah.
point of, that's the whole point. Like when we know who we are, it doesn't matter if we go in consciously or unconsciously. The point is that now, right here in this moment, I'm conscious about what the experience was. And
Again,
even if I did take on somebody's energy and I took it home, well, I'm the transmuter. And so, heck, I can transmute that energy. I don't have to hang on to it. I don't have to experience it over and over and over.
yeah.
And maybe the next person, then, maybe the next people who went into that same room didn't have to experience it.
That makes so much sense. So even though it is after the fact, I can still put my own mark, like my own energy the way I want it.
Yeah, totally. You know, years ago, we were taught to go back into the experience, say the things that you wanted to say. So this was a psyche, like changing your own psyche, not psychic, but psyche, so that you can re-pattern or readjust for the future. You can still do that. You can still go into that meeting, put your energy in there the way that you wanted it to be, which I'm sure that you did while you were there. Is just leaving it, leaving that experience made you bring in awareness, or made you take notice to the energy, even though you didn't experience it while you were in that meeting. Um, does not mean that you didn't leave your energy there, right? Like you made an impact, and you did whatever the desire was. Like you accomplished the desire. Did you feel like you accomplished the desire, right? Or not really?
Yes.
Okay. So then your impact, was still there, and the desire was still fulfilled. Um, it's just the awareness of you taking home that energy, and maybe it wasn't even people in the meeting room. Maybe it was the building. Who knows? you know?
I actually wondered that
Yeah.
if it was the building.
Yeah. Because, buildings hold energy. I mean, they have their own little frequency and vibration, right? And so,
Yep.
yeah, they have their own experience. Just because it's, wood and brick and mortar and doesn't mean that those kinds of things, they it's all frequencies and vibrations. So it all holds energy too, but we don't even give it like an acknowledgement that it does. That's another problem.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. No.
That all
So
makes
yeah.
so much sense. I'm definitely going to go back to that time and do what I need to do with that.
Yeah. So do you still feel like you're carrying that energy, or did you transform it along the way?
Nope. I when I got home, I instantly transformed it. Well, actually not instantly because I sat with this and I was just like, I am so aware of this kind of stuff. Like, why did I take this on? So I just asked a ton of questions about it and I completely transformed it right away. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it just kind of blew my mind that it had happened because I just don't have things like that happen very much anymore because I'm so aware of myself that it
Mm-hmm.
kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of curious about that.
Well, the other thing is, when we get our energy really hyped up and really expanded, and then we go into a meeting or an interview or a speaking engagement or whatever, and then we come out, there's a point of if we don't hold that energy for a period afterwards, and we like, oh, thank goodness that's over kind of thing, and we let our energy field drop, or we let it scatter, or we let it split. Sometimes we let our energy split. Then that can be the actual experience of the heaviness. And it could be just a manifestation of your own self saying, oh, thank goodness that's over. you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because you do
Mm-hmm.
get, before you, sometimes when you have an event you have to speak at, that you do almost get so worked up and there's so much energy flow before you go that when you're done,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're just like, okay, yeah, I could totally see
Right.
that happening.
Yeah. You can take some of that energy and put it into the future, like afterwards, so that you don't get that dip in energy, and then, so that energy actually picks up right after the meeting and you can, carry it forward then. So there's no dip. But if you're really conscious about your energy, just don't have any dips, right? Like have a balance. Like
Yeah,
practice having a balance. Even when you expand your energy field, and you make yourself like really big, carry that throughout the rest of the day. Like just keep your energy big. Like why can't we just keep our energy fields big? Who says we have to pull them in or let them
yeah,
scatter?
yeah.
Yeah,
That was great. Thank you so much for that.
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate all your help with things I need to dissect a little. And we
Yeah.
appreciate all of our listeners joining in. It has been fantastic to have everybody listening. And if you have any subjects or questions, please feel free to reach out to Angela and I. We would love to help or love to discuss it on the show. Until next time, from our soul to yours, have a super fantastic day.